you asked what my Roman Empire is because it's influencer kids and what it's going to be like to Google your literal birth and see it online.
You had a hard day? Do you want to talk about it?
There's an influencer on here who exploits the ever-living crap out of her poor child.
This is gross. This baby is 5 hours old. It has less rights than a child actor.
I've thought about this a lot, about why I'm so obsessed with the idea of child influencers and what life is like for them. And I think that it has to do with growing up in the heyday of 16 and Pregnant and Teen Mom when that was on MTV. There was this small cohort of people who their entire lives were on TV from before they were even born. And some of them are still on TV 14 or 15 years later. And I started seeing this experience kind of duplicate itself with influencer kids where their entire lives were online and broadcast to millions. And it was so interesting because suddenly it wasn't the reality TV producers, but it was the parents being the producers. Whenever you talk about parenting on the internet, things get very intense. People have very strong opinions. It's not a topic that people can just kind of say, okay, you think your way, I think my way. As far as reaching out to people, name an influencer family, and I've reached out to them. For the people who currently show their children online, I don't know why they wanted to talk to me. I think maybe part of it is that they wanted to be able to defend their decisions, and they know that this controversy is not going away.
Sure, you've seen like in the last few months, there's been this backlash against family and mom influencers.
I feel like I see both sides because a part of you is like, am I exploiting my child? Am I posting too much? And at the end of the day, I just want what's best for Gianna. But at the same time, I kind of question like, okay, is a regular mom with 100 followers exploiting her child because her Instagram's off private and yet she's posting the same content? And it's different when you actually see your name getting tagged in these videos and like people accusing you of that.
I actually agree with a lot of the backlash because a lot of family vloggers are in their kids' business constantly. They're showing them in the bath, making them act things that invade the children's privacy when they don't even want to be recorded.
So that's kind of where you see the difference between yourself and other mom vloggers is maybe you think other people might take it too far and record too often.
I think that other people, they are making their kids work and not giving them money, where my kids aren't doing any of the work. They're just hanging out and getting paid.
I think that most of the people that I have come in contact with doing this, they're living the best life ever. If you ask kids in this generation, even Gen Z, like what their dream job is, most of the time they say they want to be a YouTuber or a TikToker. So there's a ton of controversial topics I think that moms get judged for. And this is just one more of them.
There's this interesting trend in the parent influencer world where some people are actually taking their kids offline.
Why will I not be showing my daughter on social media?
My husband and I came to a decision today that we're no longer going to show our daughter Seven's face anymore.
Even if they created a platform of potentially hundreds of thousands or millions of fans who tune in for those kids, they've still decided to take their kids offline.
I know that you have two daughters. I think I vaguely know like around what ages they are, but not really. I don't know their names. I don't know what they look like. So that's a departure from your original content.
As my following started to grow, I remember when I hit 10,000 and I just thought my sweet little, she was probably 3 years old at the time. And if I just push them out on a stage alone by themselves in front of 10 people they don't know, it breaks my heart thinking about how afraid they would be. And they would be looking to me being like, Mom, what are you doing? Like, what am I supposed to do? And when I picture that in front of 100 people, 10,000 people, I was like, what am I doing? Why am I putting them on the internet when they don't even have any clue what's happening? And I tried to go back and delete videos and just consciously try to stop sharing them. I'm just posting it on my phone and it goes into the universe. Like you don't really visualize everyone who's seeing it.
And what that number actually means.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, what's a Taylor Swift concert compared to what the following is? It's tenfold sometimes. It's crazy. My job is to protect them, not to put them out there.
We never relied on TikTok or social media in general as a main source of revenue. I've always had a full-time job. My wife has always had a full-time job. Anything that we made, it was just additional revenue that we were able to spend on our kids and put money aside for them and take them on trips and things like that. There was just one trip when we went to Disney that I noticed they were looking for the camera and what to say, and they're enjoying it. But then they would constantly look over to see if I'm recording or if I'm taking a picture. I was just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And that was it. It was just like, this stop. Since we've stopped, we've lost over 500,000 followers, and every day we lose more and more. If I wake up tomorrow and we have 0 followers, I could care less, you know?
When I first started, I wasn't featuring my kids, but as a parent, they're always around. I never thought I was going to end up with a whole bunch of followers or what that would even mean if that happened. And then I made a decision to totally overhaul that and really pull them away from the internet.
Tell me about that decision.
I think it was the first time I recognized in public as I started to realize that people knew who I was. I didn't want people to know who my kids were. Just the idea, if people can walk up and know who I am, what could that mean for them? It felt unfair to them and unsafe. So I decided to pull down anything that I even saw them in.
There were 2 sources who preferred to remain anonymous, and I confirmed their identity, but I call them by pseudonyms in the pieces. We have Vanessa, who is the grown child of a mommy blogger and influencer, and then we have someone that I call Ariana, who was a nanny for an influencer family. The dynamics are just very complex and it's very personal, especially in Vanessa's case. I mean, that's her family, right? So we felt comfortable lending them that anonymity once we confirmed their identity.
I used to be a nanny for an influencer family of 3 kids, and I was there for about a year.
And what was that experience like?
There was always drama. We were always filming, always having to look a certain way. So if you were being filmed, that you didn't come off on the camera looking bad.
If you could say anything to family vlogging parents, as someone who has seen the behind the scenes, what would you say to them?
To stop forcing their kids to be filmed, because a kid shouldn't have to be filmed in order for you to make money. A kid shouldn't be your source of income.
Do you feel like you had a normal childhood?
I don't think so. I think being the kid of an influencer, you have to grow up a lot faster than you would otherwise. Just the amount of responsibility that I felt at a young age for things that no child should have to worry about, whether there's food on the table or whether we're making monthly payments on our house or where our next paycheck is going to come from. And a lot of people think that creating content is super easy and that it doesn't take a lot of work, but it is a full-time job, and we'd have to sit there doing takes until like 1 or 2 a.m. for a picture or a video, trying our hardest to make sure that our smiles were perfectly right and we stuck to the script and all these different things.
Being content creators, you're not a kid. You don't get to experience being a kid. You're an employee right away. These kids that are working in social media, their set is everywhere. Their set is 24/7. It's at home, it's at the park, it's at the beach, it's at Disney, it's at the doctors, it's in vulnerable environments and places. Once I saw that, the experiences for them that regular kids should find enjoyable are just kind of dying out for them. That's when it flipped the switch for me.
Family influencing and family vlogging is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and I asked these families for the hard numbers on what they're making, and it was really pretty shocking. Some of them are making hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars a year, and legally, none of the people that I talk to have to save any of that profit for their children.
Tell me about the brand deals that you do.
We do a lot with toy companies. It's just fun for them. They love it. They don't see it as work, but obviously they're making money doing it. And so it definitely is something that is going to help provide for their future.
Because they've made the money.
Oh yeah. The money on social media is crazy.
How much would you make off of brand deals?
Low 6 figures. And we bust our ass in full-time jobs, and one like 15-second video would make my entire paycheck.
In the year after you've decided not to show your kids, how much money have you made on brand deals?
0.
Wow, that's quite stark to lose $100,000.
Once you realize what you're doing and the dangers of it, it could have been $1 million. I don't care.
Let's say on an average month, how much money do you make from TikTok?
Between $3,000 and $7,000.
Do you know of another job that you could do where you could make that much money?
No, I have a friend who is a manager who's been working at her job for like 10 years. She just got a raise and I make more than her. And she works like 45 hours a week or more.
You kind of have to take it with a grain of salt when you ask these influencers how they're saving their money for their kids. But I did ask, and they did say that they had ways to do it.
Technically, and I'm not saying that you do this, I'm just saying technically you could keep every single dollar, never give them anything, and that would be perfectly legal.
Yeah, no, I think that more laws need to be passed and more states need to protect these kids, because unfortunately, I know that probably does happen quite often. We do a brand deal, 20% goes to my manager, 7.5% goes to my attorney, 15% goes to one kid, 15% goes to the other kid. I get a percentage in one of my accounts if I was involved in that video, and then the rest goes into a business account, and then we separate it out. We have another college fund set up for the girls that actually earns interest.
If I make a video with the kids and it's about just one kid, or if it's about just two kids, I will share the money with them. I have a video right now where I'm comparing two of my daughters, and my younger daughter said she kind of felt embarrassed about it because it seems almost like I'm insulting her. And it wasn't my intention, but because she did feel embarrassed, but the video was doing really well, I agreed with both of the girls that I wouldn't take any of the money from that video, that I was splitting it 50-50 with them. So right now they're each getting, I think, $500 from that video.
What was it that she was embarrassed about in the video?
I was just comparing them. I said that my one daughter was popular at school and my other daughter was the weird girl at school, and she didn't like being called weird, but I was weird. So I didn't see it as an insult, but because she felt some type of way about it, I decided that I wouldn't make any money off of it and it would just go to them.
Did she ask you to delete the video?
No, she didn't want me to delete the video. They didn't want me to take it down, but they were happy about getting the money.
It was pretty emotional to talk to people about their experiences in family vlogging and just like those kinds of decisions where you have to decide profit versus like your child's comfort. I think that's really intense. One of the families that I talked to, the dad had posted multiple videos of each of his children crying or having tantrums, or even a video of his daughter saying goodbye to a deceased family member's casket. Once that's online forever, and you can't take that back.
I feel like a lot of things have been on display that would just make me feel embarrassed or even ashamed. There was this one time we did a paid blog post social media partnership with a sanitary pad company, and I had to pose with the sanitary pads and like do a video of them and talk about like my period experience. And that was so mortifying to me, being only like 14 at the time. I just felt like I wanted to like crawl into a hole and never come out. I've come across a lot of people in college that know my mom from her blog, and it's always such a weird experience for me that other people know me and perceive me in a specific way. I have no control over my image or my voice or my story. So just knowing that that's out there forever is just overwhelming. It's hard to conceive sometimes even.
So right now we're like totally in the wild west of this unregulated multi-billion-dollar industry, which is just bananas because we're decades into this industry. It's not new. People have been making money off of parenting content and child content online for decades now.
Charlie bit me. Is this real life?
Yeah, this is real life.
I'm taking a nap.
You want to take a nap?
Listen, Linda. Listen.
Okay.
I didn't, Mommy.
Did you understand it though? No.
And it's totally legal in 49 states in this country for them to reach the age of 18 and not have $1 set aside for them. I do think there's legislation that's needed here for not only the monetary gains of the children involved, but also ideally for privacy protections for them. Part of the legislation says that parents who feature their kids in content that makes a profit online would have to save a certain percentage of that profit for the child and hold it in a trust until they're 18.
In the spirit of building on some older laws that have been around for a while to protect underage actors, for example, we are trying to do some lawmaking that protects the financial interests of the kids that are part of this content. We're moving some content creator and protection bills, one in particular that basically looks to protect the financial future of minors who are prominently figured in the content that their parents or guardians or others are clearly in control of. It is long past time that we try to get in front of this and protect minors from exploitation, financial or otherwise.
But I think there's this false sense of control because even though you control what you put out on the internet, we all know that you cannot control how the internet reacts to it and how the internet reacts to your child.
The scary side of things that are coming out about people saving photos of your kids and keeping them on their computer or pretending to be you and making false profiles. I feel like those stories and informations are a lot more at the forefront than maybe they were 5 or even 10 years ago, you know, when the LTK and blogger girlies were taking off. Maybe we're just becoming more aware of it as social media becomes more of like a job for so many people.
We had Adria, the mother behind the Garza crew, and she put up a video about her young twin daughters being young Gen Alpha skin influencers doing all this skincare. And the backlash was super swift. Like it went like massively viral. And when I talked to Adria about it, she was like, that was satirical. We were making fun of the whole thing, but nobody on the internet took it as satirical. So for me, that was really an example of how you can't control the content, how it lives once it's outside of your phone, because everyone was really upset with her.
At this point, I feel like I'm allowing them to explore their creative side and act in an atmosphere where I get to control it versus Hollywood.
Do they see it like that?
Oh yeah, they know 100%. They're
Interesting.
actors. That's what they tell everyone.
It's like Gen Alpha acting. You don't have to get on Disney Channel. You just get on TikTok.
Exactly.
The protections exist now for child actors, deal with actors who are under contract. And as we all know, if you're underage, there are other laws that come into play about when and how you can even work at all, no matter what your job is. None of that exists for minors who are either the subject of the content that's driving all of the monetization around this, or whether they're actually producing it as minors that are a little bit older.
This is not like they're just famous on TikTok. There's not really a delineation between celebrities and influencers like there used to be. Influencers are celebrities, which means that influencer kids are celebrities and they're being recognized and their actual everyday lives are being affected by this level of fame that their parents have sought out or somehow found online.
How has your life changed with all this TikTok stuff?
It was changed tremendously. I'm just going out to Target and buying a pack of diapers, or like going to the mall and people are coming up asking to take pictures, asking to even like go as far as holding Gigi. It's like everything honestly has changed in a sense. There's no real privacy, but in the best way possible, I would say.
We've had people drive past the house and take pictures and take videos and swear at my kids. We get recognized in public. As long as they're friendly, I'm usually okay, but I don't know if they're going to be friendly. That's the thing that's scary about it. For all I know, it's one of the haters that is like, yes, my time has come. Now I can hurt her family. You know what I mean?
How does that feel to know you're being recognized when you're just like living your life?
Partly fun because it's like, hey, cool, they recognize me, but also scary because, like I said, if I have my kids with me, I have no way of knowing friend or foe.
We get recognized everywhere we go now. One of my daughters and I, we were in Dubai and we got swarmed at a mall there. And I was shocked because we're in a whole nother country across the world. And then it kind of snowballed. A line kind of formed of all these little teens and tweens wanting to get a photo with me and Haven. So I will say, like, in person, it's been nothing but positives.
And it feels reasonable to imagine that if you're putting this content out for tens of millions of people, that there are going to be people with less than savory intentions.
I used to kind of like post right away where I'm at or something like that. I don't do that anymore. Like normally I'll take a few days to post a video that I may have edited days ago. It's a bunch of precautions that you just have to make sure, like when I'm unboxing, don't want to dox myself. Things that I always saw creators worry about. It seems so simple till it's you and you're having to figure it out.
What kind of stuff do you try to keep off the internet?
I really won't post her like, eating her food or anything too often. I'll never post her in a diaper. I hardly will ever even post her in a onesie. People can be crazy, so I just try and keep her fully clothed, and that's it.
So there's things I've changed specifically that since I have a big following, I just can't do anymore. I used to post them swimming in the pool all the time. And that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, well, I'm not going to post that anymore. One of my daughter's dances, but I don't post her dancing very much. Like maybe 4 times a year, I'll end up posting her dancing because she still is proud of it. I'm proud of her. I want to share her dances. But again, we have a large audience and I don't necessarily want to be putting her out there in a way that's going to elicit any weird people at all. There's going to be sick people in the world, and I'm not going to let the small percentage of the freaking sickos out there dictate how I live my life.
And there's also the mental health aspect. A few of these parents said their kids are now old enough to read the comments, and the comments are not always kind.
I do regret that people know who they are, but at this point, I feel like I can't erase the digital footprint. I can't take it off. It's already there. I would have hid a lot of things if I could start over. I would never tell people my real name. I would never tell people my real location, which is crazy because people almost expect that everything you say has to be real. Like if you dare say something that, you know, you feel is private and you don't want to put what's really going on out there, people will be like, we caught you in a lie. In social media, I don't owe you shit. I don't owe you anything. I can say whatever I want.
This story is just beginning. In my eyes, this really is the story of this generation. And it's the child influencers who have already been lost to the lack of regulation in this industry and whose lives have already been changed, and the ones who are coming up right now who are in the midst of it. As time passes, we're only going to hear more and more of these stories of this is what it was like to grow up as a child influencer. This is what it was like for my mom or dad to be a family vlogger.
After making this decision and kind of being on both ends of the equation, do you find yourself having judgment towards parents who continue on the path that you were on?
At this point, they're just deciding to either continue to do it. They know the dangers and they just continue to do it because they can't stop, stop, whether it's financially they can't stop, or it's just that rush that you get when you see your likes growing and, you know, that chemical boost side of your body when you see a video going viral. With more and more news coming out about this, there should be no excuses now.
My main focus right now is trying to switch over from Gigi to me, because Gianna did not ask for this. She did not ask to have people coming up to her in Target. She didn't ask to be put all over the place. And I know she's literally only one and doesn't know what's happening, but at the same time, she didn't ask for this. I just want to make sure that she lives the most normal life as possible.
And I've seen how it can affect these kids and how they feel later about their childhood. And I think that in the 21st century, one of the best things we can give a child is a brief online footprint